Hello, we are going to talk about the habitats. Hábitats. Los hábitats son los lugares donde los seres vivos viven, obtienen comida y se reproducen. So, habitats are the places. Habitats are the places or the spaces or we can say that is the space the places where living things for example, the animals live, get food, and reproduce. So, habitats are places, los lugares, the spaces, where living things, for example, animals, live, get food, get all the food for eating, and reproduce, have babies. So, habitats are the places where living things, all kind of animals, for example, animals that living things live, viven, get food for eating, and reproduce. There are many types of habitats. For example, the forest, Forest is a type of habitat. I will write it here. Forest, what else? The desert, the forest, el bosque, the desert, desierto, the forest, the desert, what else? Savannas, the savanna is another type of habitats, forest, desert, savanna, polar regions, and all the aquatic habitats. Here in the aquatic, en los hábitats acuáticos podemos encontrar los ríos, los lagos, los mares, el océano, all of that are part of the aquatic habitats. So habitats are the places where living things live, get food, and reproduce. Examples: forest, desert, savanna, polar region, and aquatic habitats, for example, rivers, the ocean, the sea, lakes, streams. All of that are examples of aquatic habitats. Now let's watch or let's list some animals that live in certain habitats. For example, in the forest. In the forest live, for example, the bear, the spectacled bear lives in the forest. This is the habitat of the spectacled bird. So here we have bears. Bears live in the forest. The forest is its habitat. What else? Some monkeys, for example, some monkeys live in the forest. Monkeys, what else? For example, the koala bear live in the forest. The koala lives in the forest. Some frogs also live in the forest. Some frogs live in the forest. Frogs. So bears like this live in the forest. Monkeys live in the forest. The koala live in the forest. En el bosque, in the forest. Some frogs live in the forest. Some birds, for example, the toucan, live in the forest. So this habitat, the forest, is the home for many animals. Now we have the desert. The desert, el desierto, the desert is the habitat for many animals. For example, this snake, the cobra snake. Cobra snake lives in the desert. Camels live in the forest. And other animals, some ostrich sometimes live in the forest. Some lizards, algunos lagartos lives in the desert. In the desert. Lizards live here in the desert. We have also the polar habitat. Here in the polar habitat lives, for example, the polar bear, el oso polar bear. Penguins also. some penguins. What else? Reindeer. Los renos de Santa Claus. Some reindeer are animals that live here in polar regions, in the polars. What else? For example, the seal. And many other animals live here in polar regions. We also have aquatic habitats. Recordemos que en los hábitats acuáticos pueden ser los ríos, rivers, the sea, el mar, the ocean, el océano, lakes, all that have to do with water. So in the aquatic habitat, we can find, for example, fish, this little fish, sharks, like this shark, dolphins, we can also find dolphins, like this is a dolphin, dolphins, and many animals, muchísimos animales viven en este hábitat acuático. Turtles, tortugas, fish like Dory and Nemo, fish, sharks, dolphins, turtles, and many animals live in the aquatic habitat. So these are some habitats. Places where living things, where animals, where plants, where we human lives. For example, in the forest, some people live in forest. And habitats for animals, all these animals that I showed you, all animals, they live in certain habitats. They can live in forest, desert, polar regions, and aquatic habitats. Remember that in all of these habitats, animals or plants find food and the conditions for living. En cada uno de estos hábitats, los seres vivos encuentran las condiciones, tanto climáticas, para su alimentación, que les permite vivir en cada uno de estos lugares. So these are the habitats.